I'm your 47th District State Representative Mark Hargrove. Thank you for trusting me to serve the many communities in our district, which includes Auburn, Kent, Renton, Covington, Black Diamond, and Ravensdale. Thank you for watching today. Before I give you a brief wrap-up of the recent legislative sessions, I want to thank you for the honor of serving as part of your 47th District legislative team. My first term was rewarding because I had your support and encouragement during these challenging times. Now that the fog is lifted from the 3 special sessions that began last November and a month past the regular legislative session that was scheduled to end March 8th, I thought it was timely to offer my thoughts on the past several months. To know how we got into the budget mess we faced this year, I think it's useful to look back at the history of our state spending over the past 30 years. You can see that state spending was increasing at a fairly steady rate until 2007, when the majority party in the legislature spent away the largest surplus in state history, which not only put us well above the trend line, but set us up for unsustainable budgets in the following years. Then the housing market crashed and the world economy went through significant turmoil. The federal stimulus money only artificially kept our spending above the 30-year trend. As the majority party had difficulty reducing spending back to a sustainable level, we found ourselves in a nearly $2 billion budget hole. In 2011, a 2-year budget was passed that lacked any reforms to state programs or services. In fact, the day after the governor signed the budget, the state revenue projections put it in the red. That's why the governor announced last September that the legislature would be coming back for a 30-day special session beginning the end of November. After 17 days, little was accomplished. About 1/4 of the budget problem was solved by finding some one-time savings and unclaimed property. No spending reforms were made. House Republicans were the first to call on the majority party to come to the table and work toward a balanced budget resolution in December, and then skip the 2012 regular session. This would have saved taxpayers $2 million. Instead, we returned for the 60-day 2012 session in January of this year, only to work on everything but the then $1.5 billion spending gap. By mid-February, House Republicans put forward a K-12 basic education budget, followed by the remainder of a balanced budget that prioritized public safety and services for the most vulnerable. We believe that starting good faith negotiations with the House majority party was critical. We felt that if we didn't get started on addressing the budget at that point, we would not finish on time. Instead, in March, the majority party rolled out their own budget that I could not support because it proposed delaying a $330 million payment to our schools, starting off the next budget in the red. As the final days of the session were approaching, and with gridlock on the budget, a bipartisan Senate coalition came together with a budget that insisted on reform measures that would address some long-term costs. It wasn't until late in the special session that the parties finally came together to negotiate and actually pass a budget that spends within our means and includes several key reform measures. However, I still had to vote against the budget because it doesn't prioritize spending enough on government's core responsibilities and because the reserve balance is dangerously low, only $81 million. After what happened in the 2011 budget, I felt that we should have left closer to $600 million in the reserve to weather any economic downturn we may face. Referring back to the spending chart for the past 30 years, the last time we were on the same trend line was the budget when the Republicans had the majority in the Senate. And we finally returned to this line when the Senate Republicans and the bipartisan majority were part of the budget negotiations this session. Before we leave this chart, note the black line that shows the combined rate of inflation and population growth. If spending had only increased at this rate, our spending with this biennium would be about $22 billion instead of $31 billion. Could government do great things with an extra $9 billion? Sure. But that's how politicians think. Instead, if that $9 billion was left in the hands of the people, they could spend it on goods and services. Then the companies providing those goods and services would have to hire more employees who would also buy more goods and services, etc. That's how to create jobs. That's how to get Washington working again. Of course, this is a simple way to look at spending, but sometimes looking back can help us move forward in a more responsible way. Poor budgeting choices of the past 8 years have truly hurt our economy. Employers aren't sure what taxes and regulations Olympia has in store for them. Small businesses are holding back on hiring and expanding due to this uncertainty. We have nearly 300,000 people unemployed and even more underemployed. This is putting a greater strain on entitlement spending and our criminal justice system. I continue to believe that the best social program to lift everyone up is a job. Bipartisan budgeting and job-creating policies are the best ways to get Washington working again. It has been a fascinating, even though sometimes frustrating, first term so far as your representative. I look forward to continue serving you this summer and beyond. Please remember that my door is always open to you, and I am happy to assist constituents with finding information and working with state agencies. Please feel free to contact my legislative office anytime. I'm also available to meet with you, your local civic group or chamber, to offer a brief legislative update or answer questions on specific legislation. Thank you for the opportunity to serve as your local representative.